Good morning, my dear students. This is Dr. Savita Tidame. I welcome you all in our next lecture of the subject Animal Ecology, under which we have already started the chapter number 3, that is population, and the topic characteristics of populations. Right, as there are a number of characteristics of populations and each of which should be studied in detail, so we will require little more number of lectures for this case. Right, in the previous lecture, as we have already started with the characteristics of population, natality and mortality, we have already studied in our last lecture. Now in the present lecture we will be studying the fecundity and survivorship curve. Fecundity and survivorship curve. So what is the fecundity? Fecundity is a physiological reproductive potential or actual reproductive performance of an individual, which measure in terms of number of eggs or number of seeds or sexual propagation. And the fecundity is nothing but natural ability to reproduce. Right, what is that? It is nothing but the natural ability to reproduce, or in a simple way it can be said that the physiological reproductive potential of an individual, maximum how much the individual can reproduce, and what is the capacity, physiological capacity of the individual for the reproduction is said to be the fecundity. Right, so maximum natality is considered as an fecundity. This we already studied in our previous lecture. What we studied, maximum natality is said to be the fecundity. Right, now again in this case, while studying the fecundity, parental care is again very important. Right, parental care is very important. Just like in those individuals there is a good parental care, the fecundity is low, that is reproduction is low, means the number of individual produced during their lifespan or during the cycle or reproductive cycle is again less. But if there is no parental care, then the number of individual or number of eggs laid by the individual is always more. Right, now if you see, in case of a invertebrate, just like consider in case of a insects, right, you all have seen the insects, everybody is aware of the insects, right? So in case of insects where there is no parental care, have you seen insects are caring their offsprings? Have you seen? No. Have you seen the insects are feeding to their young ones? No. Have you seen the insects are carrying their young ones on their back? No. Right, so in case of arthropods or in case of insects, the parental care is very declined. It is not seen in them. So in that case, the number of individual means the number of eggs laid by such a individual, means where in which the parental care is not seen, is always very high. Number of eggs produced by such an individual is always very high, just like 1000 to 5 lakhs during their lifespan. So you can imagine, if all the 5 lakhs or 1000 of the egg are further give rise to young ones, then what would be the population of the insects on the earth? Can you imagine simply? Yes, within few months or within few years, the entire world would be occupied by the insect. But this has happened today. Is this happen? No, this has not happened. Why? Because of the parental care. There is no parental care seen between them. Right? So though they used to lay 1000 or 50,000 or 1 lakh or 5 lakhs of eggs during their entire lifespan, but still because of absence of the parental care, only few of the individual, few of the young ones, they become adult, they become mature, they are able to become mature, right? And rest of the, they get died during the due course of development, right? But in case of those individual in which the good parental care is seen, in which again the fecundity or number of offsprings produced per, per reproductive cycle is again very less. Say just like 1 to 12 offsprings per litter or per reproductive cycle. It's seen in those individuals in which the good parental care is observed, right? So the pattern of the fecundity is again further divided into two main types, similparity and heteroparity. So what is that? Similparity and heteroparity are nothing but the pattern of division of the fecundity. Fecundity is what? Maximum reproductive potential of an individual, right? Now, what is the similparity? So the reproduction of the offsprings only once during an organism's lifespan. So during entire lifespan, if that organism reproduces only once, that is said to be similparity. Okay, just for example, I can tell you ticks, they reproduces only once in their lifespan. So that example fits here, right? And then heteroparity. Heteroparity is what? Is nothing but the repeated reproduction of the offsprings. So factor influencing temporal variation in the fecundity and fertility includes age, body size, relationship, as well as the effect of the population density, even mate choice, and even the environmental variabilities are also the factors which affect the fecundity. So maximum reproductive potential of an individual is going to affected, going to regulated by some environmental factors, right, as well as some physiological factors like age, body size, as well as the relationships, even effect of the population density, even mate choice, as well as environmental variability, going to regulate the fecundity ratio in an individual. Let's move ahead and see what is the next characteristic. Next characteristic is survivorship curve. Now that survivorship curve, what is that? Every species shows a different birth rate. Everybody knows that every species shows a different birth rate. Even their lifespan and death rate is also variable, right? Can you just tell me the lifespan of a human on an average? 60 to 70 years on an average. Okay, it is not confirmed, but just an average. If you see the lifespan of the dog, maybe up to 20 years. Lifespan of the cattle, maybe up to 25 to 30 years, right? So the lifespan of every individual is different. Even the death rate is also different. Even the birth rate is also different, because in case of a human being, you can say maximum one child is there after or within 2 years, but in case of, you can see the lower invertebrates, number of offsprings are there per reproductive cycle. So the natality or birth rate, as well as lifespan, as well as the death rate is also variable in case of a different species. If species change, this ratio is going to change, right? So life table provides information about natality, mortality, the life expectancy, right? So the survivorship curves illustrate the pattern of death with age. What it expresses? Survivorship curve, pattern of death with age. At what age maximum individual of a particular species is going to die. So it provides the number of surviving individuals to a particular age. It is assumed that all individuals of a particular population have the same life expectancy. Exactly what we just discussed now. A human population maximum life expectancy is 60 to 70 years of the age. In case of a dogs, it is up to maximum 20 years of the age, right? In case of a donkey, it is up to 30 years of the age on an average, right? So that is what the maximum expectancy of the life in case of a particular group of individual, particular population is always same, right? So it means that the time between any particular age and the time of the death of all individual in a age group will remain the same. It is just a consideration, right? So there are number of different types of survivorship curves are there. First type, second type, third type, or highly concave, and like that. Let's see which are the different types of survivorship curves are there. First type, or it is called as highly convex curve. Second type, or it is diagonal straight line curve. And the third type is highly concave curve. See, the first one is convex and the second one is concave. Okay, then let's see what is the chart. Okay, so here is the diagram explaining the survivorship curve. So here is the first type of survivorship curve, which is highly convex, representing the example human. And here is the second type of survivorship curve, that is shown by the example bird, which is diagonal or straight line curve. And here is the third survivorship curve, which is concave, shown by the plants, right? Now let's see what these curves represent exactly, right? So the highly convex, this is the first, we are talking about the first curve. Highly convex curve is characterized by the low mortality. In case of a human, if you see, there is a very low mortality rate of the population until the end of lifespan under ideal environmental factors. See, in this case, we have not considering any kind of deformities or any kind of physiological disorders, okay, excluding of that. So there is what? Very low mortality rate of the population until the end of the life under all ideal environmental conditions. It includes low mortality rate in the young as well as in the adult. First survivorship curve, right? And even all the individual born at the same shows similar physiological lifespan and all dies at about the same time. Say we said about for the human being, the maximum lifespan is what? 60 to 70. So consider all the individuals they born will die unless and until there is some external factors influencing on it, will die on the same age if there is no physiological disorder or disease occur in this case. So maximum lifespan is what? 60 to 70 years. So maximum all the individuals they die on the same time. Age large animal species like deer, mountain, sheep, and modern man, and small like rotifer shows a highly convex curve, right? So larger animal species they shows highly convex curve. So their lifespan is almost fixed. They can survive for a long time, right? And almost their lifespan is fixed, 60 to 70 years for case of the human. So they survive long for a specific time, and after a specific time, at the age of 60 to 70 years, the human being will die. So it is what? The consideration, unless and until there is no external factors influencing on it, right? If there is no heart attack, if there is no liver failure, or there is no such a natural calamities, so this human will survive for about 60 to 70 years, right? So that's why this curve is what? Further straight and then goes down. So it forms a convex curve. It is highly convex. Right, now let's move ahead and see what is the next curve, that is diagonal curve, right? So in case of the diagonal curve or second type of curve, the age specific constant survivorship, it is characterized by age specific constant survivorship, in which the rate of mortality is nearly constant at all age of a population. Rate of mortality is constant at all the age of the population, and there is a uniform decrease in the number of individuals, right? So what it means? It means that the age of the individual doesn't matter, environmental factor doesn't matter. So birds, they can die equally in the what we can say, in the young one stage, in the adult stage, even in the post adult stage. So the death rate is almost constant. Death rate is almost same in all the age groups in case of a birds. So this shows what? They shows a straight line survivorship curve, right? What they shows? They shows straight line survivorship curve. And the last one is the third, that is highly concave survivorship curve. This is characterized by high mortality. What is the characteristic of a highly concave survivorship curve? Is a high mortality at early ages and near, see, this down line indicate high mortality. So this straight line indicate high what? Yes, the survival of the individual is very more. They do not die before the time span, as it what it indicates, right? And what it indicates, this second one, it means the death can occur or the number of individual dies in all the age group is almost same, right? Now the third type curve is indicate high mortality at early age and near about constant at all other life stages. So the oysters, some birds and shellfishes, even oak trees shows this type of curves, right? So oyster or some birds or shellfishes, they when they born they are very large in number, but slowly while they're growing, maximum death occurs in the childhood condition, maximum death occurs in the early developmental stages, and only few of them they can survive, only few of them they can become mature, right? So the survivorship curve represent survival of an individual under controlled or yes under a specific environmental condition, where three types of survivorship curve we have studied. Which are they? The survivorship curve first, that is highly convex curve. This is shown by human, right? As well as higher vertebrates, where the survival lifespan of an individual is almost constant. There is a very less number of death or almost death do not occur in early developmental stages, right? If there is a death, it would have gone down like this, but if it is straight, it means there is no death in the early developmental stages. So maximum individuals survive up to the specific age. All the individuals, they can grow up to that specific age and then their death occurs. So all the individuals of that particular species have the similar lifespan. So it is highly convex curve, survivorship curve, right? And the second one, we are just repeating it, right? The second one is what? It is a straight line or diagonal curve, means death of the individual occurs at every stage of the life is same, almost same. And the third curve is nothing but highly concave curve, okay, in which the maximum death of an individual takes place during early developmental stages, and then few of them they can survive and become mature and further reproduce, right? So here we have seen the survivorship curve as well as the fecundity of an individual. Now in the next lecture we will be studying the age ratio as well as sex ratio and dispersal and number of many other components in detail.